It is Bronze and Modern Gods. I'm John. That's Tinkerballs, and that's Richard.
Hey, John, how you doing?
I am doing great. How are you?
Doing great, too.
Well, we've got a lot this week. We've got our hot book of the week, of course, 25-year rule with a Turtles book you may not even be aware of, our underrated books of the week, and our main topic, Marvel Comics shipping disasters. Retailers are up in arms. Penguin is now shipping the books, and they are not arriving in good shape. Let's just put it that way. You'll see what we're talking about later on. But first, if you are not following us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods, Tinkerballs, point to it. Show them where it's at. Up there. There you go. Yes. You can follow us there, and you get content during the week. If you like this video, hit like. Please hit the subscribe button if you have not already. And you can also leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. And now, first, before we get into the hot book of the week, Richard, I'm going to stop and ask you what you thought of DC Fandom.
You're asking specifically about the Black Adam trailer, right?
I know he's your favorite, so I want to get your reaction. What'd you think?
They managed to make an announcement without really announcing anything.
But he killed a guy.
A shadowy figure did. You notice you didn't see his face. I'm waiting for full reveal. I think that's going to be key. But I'm excited. I mean, it's so far, so good. There's nothing that says, mummy quality of movie. So hopefully we're going to have something that's going to be good. I'm excited.
Richard coming out hard against the Mummy. All right, I see. Well, I think it's appropriate that we had DC Fandom this past weekend because our hot book of the week is a DC book. It is Superman, Son of Kal-El, issues 1 and 2. Richard, do you have these?
I do not.
Well, number 1 is the first appearance of John Kent, the son of Superman, as Superman. Number 2 is the first appearance of Jay Nakamura as the Truth, who is the main, I guess you would call him a villain. I'm not sure what you would call him in this. Both of these issues, 1 and 2, are already going for about $15 or $20 on eBay already. Issue 3 is a lot easier to find. You can still find that on the shelves around cover price. Of course, this is all leading up to issue number 5, which if you've watched the news this week at all, you may have heard about John Kent coming out as bisexual. So there you go. Number 5 has a street date of November 9th, just a few weeks away. So get ready. If you do not have that on your pull list, I highly recommend it. Richard, what do you think?
We've had this conversation before when we had other characters come out as being bisexual, Robin specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it impacts the story. I don't know how it impacts other than inclusion. I mean, for that part, I'm all for it, but I don't think a person, a superhero's sexuality really impacts most, when you're fighting Joker, or you're fighting Lex Luthor, it doesn't matter. It's not pertinent to the story. And I don't see these issues where it's brought to the forefront of having long-term value. I mean, collectors collect things that are pivotal to a character in first appearance, death, first meetups, what have you. I just don't see this being something of that kind of level of importance. I may be wrong. If it's important to you as a collector, then absolutely. But
we've seen it before. Alpha Flight 106, North Star comes out.
Right.
$20 book overnight. Now you could probably get it for $5.
Right.
But I would counter that to say The Wedding of Peter Parker and Mary Jane is an expensive book, and that has nothing to do with fighting villains.
No, you're absolutely right. And that is a that's a wedding book. Weddings and deaths have a significant impact, regardless of who your partner is, right? But I don't know. I think it's important for the fact of inclusion. I mean, Superman.
It doesn't bug me because it's a new character, really, if you think about it. So I think the press kind of took it. You could tell who read the press release and who didn't. Kent is now bi. No, it's not Kent. It's his son, John Kent.
No, they're crafting headlines, and that's their job. Their job is to promote that sensationalism. And like to me, this is a private moment between, the two of them, and I think we're dramatizing the moment when
Yeah.
it really isn't something that I would want called out as, let's shine the spotlight on me for this one instant. And, I don't know.
Well, I think the counter to that is you have plenty of this with straight heroes.
Mhm.
You see their love lives. You see their drama, their soap opera-esque elements in comics. Since comics began, really, especially since the Stan Lee Marvel method of
Right.
really ratcheting up the personal drama. So this is just I'm waiting for the day where it's not a press release. I'm waiting for
Yeah.
the day, yeah, where it's just part of the character.
Right.
I think Chris Redd said it best on SNL this past weekend when he said about this specifically on Weekend Update. Treat life like a Pornhub homepage. If it ain't for you, don't click the tab.
That's right. Oh, more,
True. Why
you
would you
know,
said about that tab? Just go right past it.
right, right, right. It's an event. I'll agree, but in terms of um, collectability and long-term
Yeah.
sustained value, it's just going to be another event in these characters' lives. A
Well,
year from now.
let's see how John Kent sticks around.
Yeah,
Maybe he's going to be the Miles Morales of the DC universe. Who knows?
we
Uh,
don't.
Good on DC for trying something, but again, I wait for the day where it's not press worthy, where it's just an issue that comes out and okay, he's got a
Yeah,
boy. Great.
and I'm glad they are trying it too. I actually had stopped reading Superman
Yep.
just because Superman revealed that he was Clark Kent, and everybody was like, "Whoop-de-doo." And it just seemed to it's dragged on since 1939, right? So it's time for some fresh ideas and new characters. So
Hey, I picked it up. I picked up 1 and 2 and 3, so they got me on the hook. We'll see how it goes.
yeah,
All right, our main topic this week is not as sunny, not as positive as that. It is kind of a bummer. For those of you that don't know, Marvel has changed their distribution from Diamond distributors to a company called Penguin Random House for shipping. Now, they are just following what DC Comics did earlier this year or last year by going away from Diamond. And so Penguin is really known for shipping to bookstores.
uh-huh.
And some retailers got their boxes last week and the week before, and it was a disaster. Joining us right now is a good friend of the show, Lawrence from Comics, and he's going to give us a little more insight to that. And here he is now. Hello, Lawrence. Do you prefer Lawrence?
Lawrence or P. Dot, with either one of those two, and I'm cool with that.
Before we get started, I've been to your shop and I've seen your live sales. Richard's seen your live sales.
Yep.
Remind everybody where you are at, and where your shop is.
We're just outside of Los Angeles in Pasadena, California. Nice, sunny Pasadena, California. And we're on Instagram at PDotscomics. We're there doing live sales, doing every Thursday and Saturday. So would love for you guys to either come by the shop or check us out on Instagram.
Yeah, you're there in Pasadena with all the mini mansions. And I love Pasadena. And I love the shop too. And usually I like to pop in there and say hi and buy some new comics, but
hey, hey, there's issues going on with the new comics. As you guys know, Penguin Random House has taken over for the distribution for Marvel Comics. So we're not too thrilled about that over the last 2 weeks.
So explain to everybody, you used to be with Diamond, you used to get your books from Diamond, I assume.
Correct.
Marvel changed the game on you, and they are now just self-distributing. Well, I don't think they're self-distributing. They're distributing through Penguin and Random House now. But you get a break if you go the Penguin way, correct? A price break.
Yes. So let's go back a little bit. DC decided in their wisdom to ditch Diamond as their distributor, and they went through Lunar distribution, which started kind of the ball rolling on the publishers looking elsewhere to distribute comic books. So Diamond then started to kind of lose their grasp on the so-called monopoly that they had on distribution. And you knew it was just a matter of time before these publishers started to either self-distribute or find other distributors, which at the midpoint of this year, Marvel then jumped on that bandwagon and decided that Penguin Random House was going to be the distributor of choice for them. Now, Diamond is still an account holder with Penguin Random House, and Diamond can still distribute books to comic shops from Marvel, but they are not the exclusive distributor. They're basically another account holder, just like any other comic store. So if I were to stay with Diamond Distribution to get my Marvel books, there's essentially a cost of about 10% that I would be incurring per issue or per product that obviously Diamond needs to assess to me in order to make money on those books.
So what happened with your first 2 shipments?
Well, all right. My first shipment, well, we were excited. At first, we were excited because Penguin Random House had essentially made assurances or promises that they would do better than the status quo, that they would do better than the status quo, that the damages that were kind of known to exist with Diamond would be kind of taken care of because they know how to distribute, because they're, I guess, one of the largest distributors of novels, of books, and they take care of bookstores, so they know best and can take care of comic book stores. Well, the boxes that they decided to use were not adequate, to be nice, were not adequate to handle the volume of books that they're trying to stuff into it. That's first and foremost. They're small. They're even a little smaller than the medium flat rate boxes that the USPS uses. Secondly, the cardboard itself is thinner and not as sturdy as, the Diamond box that was used. Yeah. So when you start stacking these boxes up in freight, they start to collapse on themselves because they can't handle the weight.
What people don't realize, if you guys have never been a retailer, that Diamond actually made custom boxes that were, customized to fit 2 small stacks of comics per box. They actually fit in there kind of snugly, and they have some support on the sides, right?
That's correct. Diamond made custom boxes to ship the comic books. And so every year they would have the Diamond Retailer Summit. We'd provide feedback, say, hey, this is an issue with some of your boxes. We noticed dented corners, we noticed crushing, and Diamond would eventually address those issues. Penguin Random House, they say they did some testing, but no one knows for sure how extensive that testing was. We don't know who they tested these boxes with. They say that they did consult with retailers, but we don't know exactly who those retailers were. And so when they showed up crushed. They showed up essentially holding on to the sides. There were cracks and tears, and it was pretty atrocious.
I'm going to put on the screen some of the images you sent us, and what I thought was horrible and almost like gallows humor, you kind of have to laugh, was the shape of the books inside, which I'm showing now. And you made a meme on your Instagram, which I thought was funny, but maybe kind of true, that 9.8s are going to be super scarce for a couple of weeks.
That I honestly believe that, because you have to understand that it's not just my shop that has these issues with the new product from Marvel. It's systemic. And so it's every shop that has Marvel product from Penguin Random House is going to have these issues. Now it's going to, fluctuate the amount of damages that they receive. I think the first week we kind of got lucky with 45 to 50% of our product being damaged, or as I start to use now the new term, unacceptable.
That is,
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, 45% of your entire stock for the week damaged is
Yeah,
unacceptable.
Right.
unacceptable. The second week, we got hit hard. The second week, we had a larger order. Hulk number 50 or Immortal Hulk number 50 was a heavier book,
Mhm.
and that's mixed in with the product. And, you know, unfortunately, the heavier box created more issues. And we ended up with about 80%, 75 to 80% of our product for that week was unacceptable. And so, you know, we had titles that we didn't even put out for sale because we only ordered, you know, 4 or 6 copies, and all 6 copies are just not something that I would consider sellable.
No, so what's the solution here? Have they offered anything so far to you guys?
They have so far issued credits. You have to remember the issues are with their shipping is systemic, so it's too rampant to just replace the books.
Mhm.
You know, there's not enough replacement copies that can go around to every shop. So they've issued credits for the damages for the last 2 weeks. They have stated that they have made changes to the way they are going to pack and ship, but those changes won't take effect until this week. And so I haven't received any new product yet with these changes that have been implemented. And so I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that that the changes do kind of mitigate some of these damages, and that, you know, I can live with 10 to 15%. That's something that I can kind of expect because of, you know, the frailty of some of these books and how it's shipped. But if it's still 50%, 60% or higher, then it's
No.
unacceptable.
No. I'm shaking my head a lot because I've been doing this a long time, and I had a shop during Heroes World. Do you know about that, when Marvel decided to distribute their own books through a company they bought called Heroes World?
Yeah, that's a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Wait a second. Wasn't that long ago, 30 years. But yeah, 25 years, actually, 25-year rule. And I'm just shaking my head because history repeats itself. People just don't seem to learn from history. I mean, I don't think that's what caused the diamond monopoly to begin with, was that was
Right.
the domino that fell. But here we are again. You know, if you don't know how to ship comics, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
And
You know, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Richard.
no, that means like for this 2-week period, potentially 3 weeks, depending on what they do next week. There are some really, really rare books coming up for 9.8. So if you have a 9.8 quality book that from this period, you definitely want to get it slabbed, because
Yeah.
you may have some money there.
I mean, think about some of those covers for like Amazing Spider-Man 75. You know, it's a thicker book to begin with, and you know, you have some pretty cool covers for that issue, and finding those in 9.8 is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're as mercenary as me, Richard, and you'll just say it. I'm just going to hint at it. Come out and say it. I'm lucky, I guess. I have an LCS here that still uses diamond. So he has really dodged this bullet, but you know, I've talked to him, and he's fully aware, and he's like, oh crap, I'm kind of, you know, I rolled the dice and stayed with diamond, you know, just because he was nervous about this potential issue. What are you going to do? Do you know? You're going to stick with Penguin?
For the time being, I'm going to stick with Penguin Random House, simply because I'm an optimist and hope that they can eventually get things fixed. There are issues that is more than just the shipping. You know, some of how you have to order on their site, how you report these claims. There's issues with that as well. Like, for example, the ratio variance. They say they're ineligible for a claim. And so, yeah. So when you report it as damaged, you can't do that on the website. And, you know, they know best, apparently, as far as those ratio variants, what's damaged versus what's not.
Do they even know what a ratio variant is, and why people order them?
I think they do, because they use Gemini mailers to ship those.
Okay.
Fortunately.
All right.
So they do ship that separately, and I think Marvel's probably telling them, hey, you know, take care of these books. But there's other issues that are there with Penguin Random House, not just the shipping. So I think that's, when you combine the frustration with the shipping on top of the frustration with the ordering system, as far as what we're used to, that's what has kind of created this storm for them.
No. I had to go. I had my poll for last week. I haven't actually had a chance to read them. My LCS favors me because I have a pull box. So he always goes through and just makes sure I get good copies. That's all he does. So these are all nice copies. But yeah, gosh, can you imagine somebody who has a substantial stack of books here and 80% of them are damaged, and therefore you don't get them for that particular week? That's hard on not only the customer, but for you too, that lost revenue.
Yeah. What I did, honestly, was I separated all the product from this week into unacceptable and acceptable, and just had to kind of mitigate customer expectations by saying, hey, you're picking up Marvel product this week. You may not get near mint copies, but they might be 8.0 to 9.0 shape, as far as what I pulled out. And then telling my full customers, hey, you want that? I'll sell it to you at cost. I'm not going to charge you full cover price, because I wouldn't pay full cover price for something that's supposed to be brand new.
Right. That's a really good way to handle it. That's customer service right there.
Right.
What you could do, Lawrence, is just offer to press every single book that comes through.
I only have one press, and it's dedicated to my books. So unfortunately, I can't do it for everybody.
There are 24 hours in the day. That's no excuse. Of course, you can't do that. This is a nightmare for retailers. I mean, I don't want to be Chicken Little here, but God, it's awful.
It is. I mean, I've had some retailer friends, contact me and said, hey, I don't have anything to sell, because what I did receive was damage and I don't have my other box. So, they're really stuck in a hard position of trying to sustain, their livelihood. Now, obviously, there's still DC product that you could try to sell, but as Marvel accounts for a large chunk of the market share, and unfortunately, that's a lot of dollars when you actually add it up.
Right. And two big anniversary books that retailed for $9.99 a pop are in both those weeks, Spider-Man and the Immortal Hulk, right?
Yeah. That's real money, because the Penguin Random House, you have to have a credit card on file if you're not in one of their credit accounts. And they bill you and charge those books before they ship them.
Yep.
And so the money's cleared out of the account, we can get credit back for that and basically break even on those damages. But there's something to be said about the customer satisfaction of actually putting the product in their hands. And when you're trying to sustain a business, that goes a lot further than the $5 you paid and the $5 you make on a $9.99 book.
Yeah, your customers are not going to call Penguin Random House and complain. They're going to complain to you.
Yeah.
Right. Or it's not come back. That's also a possibility.
Well, don't do that. He's got a great shop, and he's got a lot more going on than current Marvel issues. You got live sales. You got tons of back issues. I bought my Red Skull Silver Age first appearances from you a few weeks ago.
I appreciate that.
If you have not checked Lawrence out at PDotscomics on Instagram, what are you waiting for? Go do that. There it is right there. Richard, you got any more questions for Lawrence?
No, man, I feel for you. I really do. I mean, this is a tough transition, trying to run a business while Marvel tries to figure out what in the world they're doing.
Appreciate that. Thank you for the thoughts and the concerns. We still have back issues, though.
Yes,
still have back issues.
And
Thank goodness.
And good ones too. I mean, you're not talking like 90s back stock of like 17 copies of Tribe #1. You've got some decent stuff there, so keep it up. Thank you, Lawrence, for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Yes,
no problem. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, wow. This is terrible.
Ouch.
I know. It's like you said, Heroes World. This reminds me of that. And how long ago was that? I think that was about 25 years ago.
25-year rule. Richard with the segue. Wow, still you, buddy.
Oh, that was all on you. You reminded me.
Well, this week, the 25-year-old goes back to 1996, and we are focusing on an Archie title for once in the 25-year rule. Did you even know this book existed, Richard?
No, I knew about, version 1. I knew about, version 2. I did not know there was a third one.
This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures Volume 3, Number 1. Now, Volume 1, Number 1 was the first miniseries, 3-issue miniseries under the Archie banner, and that was followed up by an ongoing series, Volume 2. This was in 1996 when the second volume came to a close, and they did another 3-issue miniseries relaunching this Archie series based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures cartoon. This book is crazy because it's written by Dan Slott, who went on to fame at Marvel, Spider-Man for years. And check out the cover by our boy Ron Lim. And who are they fighting on that cover, Richard? Are those Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or simulation?
There's a remarkable likeness. Let's put it that way.
This indeed would be the final Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic book series published by Archie before they lost the license from Mirage. A 9.8 of this book sold last November for $149. I just don't think people know about this book. I don't think there's a lot out there about this book. If you look on comics.org, it's blank. Comic-Con shows diamond orders for this book to be about 3,400 copies.
Wow.
Now, obviously, some more were sold on the newsstand and from other distributors, but still, that's very low. Even if it's 10,000 copies, that's very low for a Turtles book.
Right. Yeah, this may be one of those super rare Turtles books that people who aren't avid collectors just don't know about.
Only one copy on eBay right now, and that's being sold as a set with issues 2 and 3 of this miniseries for $80. So this might be one to kind of see if you can scope out and grab when you have the chance and sit on it for a while.
Yeah, like I said, if you're a collector of rarer turtles, this is a perfect candidate.
It's not quite Turtle Mania number 1, but it's close.
No. Close.
All right, let's move on to our underrated books of the week. Richard, what do you have?
My pick is a late 80s book, and I picked it because of the nostalgia that seems to be hitting around 80s TV shows, early 90s TV shows. We saw things like A-Team recently spike in value.
Yeah.
So I picked Star Trek: The Next Generation #1, specifically the book from 1988. This is the first appearance of the Next Gen in comics. This is a 6-issue miniseries. It ran from February to July of 1988. It was successful enough that they spawned a regular series that started in 1989 that ran all the way through 1996. So this is specifically the 1988 version. If you look, there's also a Next Generation #1 in 1996, which is that ongoing series. It's to me, it's hard to picture the late 80s, early 90s without Star Trek. And this particular series was, I think, the most pivotal series outside of the original series. So there is some potential in the future of these books going up. The GPA for this book is only $89. Their last sale was $110 for a 9.8. There are 82 books on the census right now. 22 of them are 9.8s. The funny thing is there is a signed 9.6 that was signed by all of the major cast members. It sold in 2019 for $1,500. I would love to have that particular book.
You know if Whoopi signed it?
I do not know. I'll have to look. It's in GPA. We could look it up. But as a fan of Next Gen, that immediately just draws my attention. So it's a book that I'm definitely looking at putting into my collection. I think these Star Trek milestones are important to collect because it's more than 25 years, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's potential for these books, and at the prices that we're talking about, it's not a big ask to pick one up.
No, I'm surprised these don't do better in the back issue market. The original Gold Key Star Trek series does really well because they're all like mostly photo covers.
Right.
And people want those photo covers, a lot of painted covers in that series as well. And, but then you have the Marvel series from the late 70s that everybody just kind of ignores because it was based on the motion picture. But then DC got the license for years and did a great job with it, primarily all written by Peter David, who loves a good pun. So if you like puns in Star Trek, you stock up. You know why this left DC in 96?
No. Why did it?
Paramount decided to start their own comic book company in conjunction with Marvel. And so that's when you got Star Trek The Next Generation meets the X-Men.
That was going to be one of my upcoming underrated books.
Well, save it for next week or a couple weeks later. And you can see how that turned out. You had things in this Paramount Marvel partnership that were just insane, like the Mission Impossible comic book adaptation drawn by Rob Liefeld. Who thought that was a good idea? Even Tinkerballs is bored now with this. So let's move on to my pick for the underrated book of the week. My pick is another John book. It is Mighty Marvel Western number 44. Now, this is your typical Marvel Western reprint title from the 70s with Two Gun Kid, Rawhide Kid, Kid Colt. Kind of a lie on the cover. There's no Two Gun Kid story. There's a Matt Slade
really?
story. Yeah, they lied to you. But what makes this special is the cover. Look at this cover. If you're on YouTube, you can see the Rawhide Kids taking a sip in the desert from a little oasis. And if you look in the reflection, you can see some 6 shooters pointed his way. It doesn't look good for the kid. He's thirsty. He just wants a drink. Now, Gil Kane, who drew this cover and drew hundreds of covers for Marvel in the 70s and for DC as well in the 60s, he says that cover is his all-time favorite of every cover he's ever done. And I can see why. It's amazing composition. It's really nice. If you've never seen that cover in person, I highly recommend it. Not a lot of relevant GPA data on this book, but a 9.6 CBCS slab sold last month on eBay for $100. Well, technically for $99.99. If we want to get technical. But I love that cover. It's amazing. If you are a Marvel Western buff and you ignore the reprint titles, check some of these Gil Kane original covers out. They are amazing. You can tell the guy loved to draw horses and he loved to draw rootin' tootin' cowpokes. So that's going to do it for us this week. For me, Richard and Tinkerballs, we will see you next time. Follow us on Bronze and Modern Gods and Instagram and Facebook. We apologize for not having a bonus episode last week, but Richard will explain why. Richard?
We needed some mental space.
We really did. Mental health days are important, and we were just overwhelmed with work and everything else. Sometimes we need a break, guys. But thank you for understanding, and hopefully we're going to get back in the groove this week. Tinkerballs always energizes me when I see him. Look at that stinker, and we will see you next time.
Everybody stay safe. Say bye, Tinker.